Yeah, there you go.
Okay, we are live. It's Monday, and yep, we're home again, back from our big trip, and we've got Mr. Levi with us. He's just hanging out today. We went out to the airport and watched some airplanes and had some chicken nuggets, and then it got hot. We went to the park and had popsicles. So it's been a really good day with Levi
He
here.
wants to sit with you.
So yeah, I know. I'm trying to lift him up.
Oh, I forgot my hair.
So anyway, we'll get some hellos out of the way. RV traveling researcher, MIA researcher, saw you, Avenger, RV adventure, RV weekends. Who else is in early? John, we missed you in Moab. We got so busy. Nursing Our Travel Bug and Foreverland RV, welcome in. We had an action-packed week down there in the Moab area, and just what a fantastic trip. And that's kind of what we're gonna. Why is this so dark?
Because the light's not coming down.
There we go. Is that better? No, it's because of that backlight back there.
Here, let me fix it.
So anyway, what we thought we'd do is our Epic RV Adventure snuck in. Good to see you.
Yeah, we're not going to go outside right now.
Gail Chapin. Hope I said that right.
Yeah, we're not going to go outside, buddy.
Yeah, Mr. likes it outside, but it's unseasonably hot right now.
Hey, come here.
So
We're not
come here and say hello to everybody. Come here.
gonna say hi.
Say hi. Say hi.
Can you wave? Wave. Here, I'll take this. You wave.
Yeah, we need some more popsicles. Yeah, he ate the last one today. He either ate the last one or I ate the last one. Anyway, looks like I'm going to go solo here for a little bit. But anyway, I thought we'd just take some time tonight and oh, you hid one. Split that. He found one more.
No, he doesn't want it. He wants to go outside.
Oh, well, then I want it. And talk about our come here, Bob. Yeah.
All right, we'll go outside for like a couple minutes.
Well, I'll have a popsicle and I will, the show must go on. So I'll flip that around. Let's see, Lamona, hello from Vegas. Good to see you. Uncle Lisa, good to see you. Camping Therapy, good to see you. So anyway, we, for those of you that saw our Plan B video, kind of understand that our summer plans changed because of the whole, the plague that's going on right now. And so buddy of mine, Teresa, and his wife, we decided not to change our plans and just eliminate that one section that we were going to do. So we ended up going down to Sun River, Oregon, which is down in Central Oregon, and had a great time down there. We spent 4 days down there. We kayaked down the Deschutes. We kayaked on a river, and we went on a really cool hike. And I'm going to show, for those of you that don't follow us on Instagram, this is that's us on the Deschutes River down in Central Oregon. We did about a 7-mile float, and the gal that's in the red kayak there is my buddy Chris's wife. And anyway, we just had a really beautiful day on the river. It took us about 3, maybe 4 hours, but we did a lot more floating than we did paddling. So that was that. And then we did this really cool hike, and this was up in it's called the Green Lakes Trail, and the scree field that you see in the picture goes right up into South Sister, which is part of the Three Sisters. And then the lake that we hiked to, which I don't have a picture loaded up here. It's actually in the volcano basin. So, so that was that. And so we spent 4 days piddling around in Sun River, Oregon. And then we went out to Twin Falls, Idaho. Let me see, there might be some comments there. Beautiful. It's hard to keep up with the comments here, folks. Yes, I tell you what, the fish that were jumping when we were out on the lake, and you got to watch that video. It was absolutely incredible. I've never been on a lake where that many fish were jumping, and unfortunately, I was so amazed by it that I just stopped filming. And but I mean, they were literally. I thought we were going to have some jump in the boat. So that was really, really cool. Then we went out to Twin Falls, Idaho. From there, and we spent 2 days in Twin Falls, and just kind of piddled around there. We went out to Shoshone Falls, and here's a picture of Shoshone Falls. Shoshone Falls is really big. It's called the Niagara Falls of the West, and this picture doesn't really do it justice, but it was one that I really liked. We got some cool rainbow shots there, and then we went down, and this goes into the Snake River, and then the next day, the ladies decided to get in kayaks and kayak on the Snake River, while Chris and I just spent some time sitting in rocking chairs, enjoying the beautiful scenery. And it was absolutely gorgeous. So from Shoshone Falls, we drove down, or from Twin Falls, we drove down to Moab, where we spent 4 days in Moab. Could have used a fifth day. Would have really liked a fifth day, maybe even a 6th day down there, but we were in a rental house, and that's all the days we could squeeze out of that. If we would have taken the trailer, we probably would have stayed for the week. And while we were there, we did a 4-wheel drive Razor excursion at Hell's Revenge. And this is the Colorado River, and Teresa and I on that. It was about 102 degrees that day. We had a blast on the 4-wheelers. Did some things that created a serious pucker factor, and but we had a ball on that. There'll be video coming out of part of that pretty soon. But that was really cool. We did that in the morning because it was so hot, and then we drove through Arches National Park. Let me check the comments here. Hey, Jen. Randy is in. Good to see you. Make sure I didn't miss anybody here. And Chris Kopp is in. Yes. So Chris and Lynn, they were the other couple that we traveled with. And yeah, they're daredevils. Chris, I just showed the picture of Lynn in her kayak right there. That's Lynn. So let me see that Everland. Yeah, it was a blast. Where was I? So in Moab, we did the 4-wheel drive thing in the morning, And then we went out to Arches National Park. I'd never been there. And we got some absolutely fantastic scenery out there. We That's up at one of the big arches out there. We actually hiked up close to that one, and we got about halfway to the arch, and we had some really nasty clouds coming our way, so we backed out of that. But yeah, we saw everything there. We saw the delicate arch. We saw the windows. We saw all those. Just a fantastic experience. This last Sunday's video was all about our trip to Arches. And then the next day, we did Canyonlands. And this is the bottom of the Mesa Arch, kind of looking through the Mesa Arch, which is world famous. People flock to this arch in particular for sunrises and whatnot. It's really an incredible view. We got really lucky in that the crowds were pretty minimal. We didn't have to fight crowds at all, but everything was open except for the exhibits in the visitor centers at both Arches and in Canyonlands. And then here's another shot of Canyonlands. This coming video this Sunday is all about Canyonlands. We put in a lot of pictures of Canyonlands and then our video from our trip out there. So I hope you guys all watch that, because it was super, super impressive. We've never been to the Grand Canyon. And if the Grand Canyon is anything like Canyonlands, we're going to be absolutely amazed, because it's absolutely breathtaking. And we hit Canyonlands in the morning, also because of the heat, and just a great trip. Then from Moab, Teresa and I went as far as Salt Lake with Chris and Lynn. They went on to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and we went on to Boise. We stayed a night in Boise and had the absolute worst lasagna I've ever had in my life in Boise. And then came on home the next day. So it was kind of the 10-day trip. I don't want to give too much away, because the next couple of weeks are all about our big trip there in videos. So, hey, time for exploring. Good to see you. Yeah, this picture. Yeah, I was trying to focus on that. The nice thing about having Chris along is he was teaching me how to use my camera and that kind of stuff. So it always helps when you bring people that know what the heck they're doing in there. Bob from Blue Wave is in. Good to see you. And so yeah, if you want to see more pictures, that's all I've got loaded for tonight. But yeah, this next Sunday is going to have more pictures on Canyonlands. This last video, if you haven't saw it, if you haven't watched the video from this last Sunday, all about the trip to Arches. And then over the next 2 weeks, we'll be wrapping up the 10-day trip with more video and whatnot about the Sun River, and then the Moab part, maybe a little bit of Twin Falls also in there. But there was just so much, like I said, about Arches and Canyonlands. It literally is breathtaking. And I caught myself having to get the camera up and video because and take pictures because you get so engrossed in everything that you're seeing and all that. Yeah, well, D, you guys got to get out here. And I told you that next summer, now that my plans for next summer have been postponed, for those of you that haven't heard, they postponed the National Jamboree. If any of y'all were going, for about a year, it's probably going to happen July of 2022 now, because of the whole plague thing. So now we've got a summer free, and so the whole time back from Boise, Teresa and I talked about maybe doing. Hey, artist on the road, good to see you. Talked about maybe doing the 6 park loop. So it's basically Glacier, Zion, Bryce Canyon, Arches, Canyonlands, Zion, Bryce Canyon, Glacier, and one other. And I think it's either Yellowstone or it's the Grand Canyon. So thanks for coming, Lamona. I appreciate it. So anyway, we're thinking about maybe taking 2 weeks, maybe 3, and doing that. And we're not really sure how that's all going to work out. They're still negotiating what school is going to look like. Everything's open for me, but Teresa isn't still sure what school is going to look like. Right now they're still talking about, online school, whether they're going to be able to open the doors or not. Little man is not happy because he wants to go outside. So, anyway, so if school is not going to be in session as normal, we might be able to move that up early in the summer and hit some of those places when it's not quite as hot. So, you're right. I am absolutely in love with that. No, okay. So the story behind the lasagna. We went to. All right. So I got to preface this by saying that both Idaho and Utah were by and large wide open. You could go wherever you wanted. Masks were pretty much an option everywhere. In Idaho, there was really zero talk of masks. In the Twin Falls and the outskirts of Boise area, we went into a sandwich shop. The employees were wearing masks, but nobody else was. Utah is pretty much you're welcome in anywhere. They ask if you were protesting in Portland. I know they haven't stopped. It's 40. Actually, let me correct you, Bob. They're not protesting in Portland. They're rioting in Portland. There's a difference between rioting and protesting, because protesting, you actually have a cause, you have a message. These folks, they don't have a message or a cause. All they're doing is trying to do as much destruction as they can in Portland, which, by the way, is why I don't live in Portland. But and out where I live, you'd never know that they're doing anything to Portland. Nobody out here is talking about it. It's business as usual out here in the suburbs, because by and large, the people out here in the suburbs don't care too much about what happens in Portland. Yeah, it's 49 days. 49 days of rioting and looting and all that. So and like I said, yeah, there is no message. If they had a message and a cause that we could get behind, at first, it was about George Floyd and all of that police brutality. It has nothing to do with that anymore. And the government in Portland, they are so inadequate. And that's all I got to say about that. So anyway, I think they're going to cancel the Keys trip. Oh, you're right, RV Weekends. It's really sad that people can't get along. The issue isn't getting along because the folks that are doing this in downtown Portland, they don't care whether you like them or not. Look, they caught the statue of an elk on fire. An elk. How racist can an elk be? So anyway, but I agree with you. It'd be great if people could get along. And by and large, everybody wants to get along, but there's this really small group of people that wear masks and want to terrorize you that are doing all of this. And I don't feel bad for them, and I'm not on board with them. So it'd be great if they would just stop it. It really would. And ever since we started talking about that, we lost everybody. And there's like 8 people watching now. So that's great. The thing is, it'd be great if they were even making excuses. They don't even have a platform. So anyway, it's just really sad. That on top of the COVID thing, it's just creating a whole lot of anxiety up here in the Northwest that doesn't need to happen. So we are spending as much time gone as we can. And that won't fix things. But the fact of the matter is, and since there's only 8 people watching, I'll say it. You don't want me to go downtown. Because if I go downtown, you're going to see me on the news. And it won't be good. So anyway, that's that. Lasagna squirrel. Yes, I was starting to talk about lasagna. We went to, good for you, Bob. Yeah, we're supposed to travel. Now, I'm going to get back to the lasagna, I promise. We're supposed to leave this Wednesday. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Good to have you. We're supposed to leave this Wednesday. My father-in-law is not doing well again, so we might be canceling our trip this week. Crazy thing, and I'll talk about that after I finish the lasagna story. But anyway, he's not doing well, but we do have a trip scheduled in a week and a half or so for down in the Craters Lakes area, and we're not going to cancel that unless something catastrophic happens, and I'll get to that in a sec. So anyway, we're in Boise, and we decided to go to Old Chicago and have dinner. And I really wasn't in the mood for pizza, and Teresa got a wonderful salad. I should have got the salad, but the lasagna just looked terrific. So I got it. I ordered a lasagna and an iced tea. So our meal came, and I went into the middle of the lasagna, and it was cold. I mean, not just cold, but like they took off the Stouffer's wrapper, threw it in the microwave, and didn't hit the right button. So anyway, good for you. Drink lots of water. It's hot. Um, so anyway, it was cold. So I sent it back. And they gave me a brand new lasagna. And the outside, it was done all the way to the middle. And the reason that I know is I ate the outside and I got about half of it eaten, and it just didn't, it wasn't good. It didn't taste good, but I was hungry. I ate half of it and I got to the middle and it was cold again. So the gal came back and I said, look, I'm really sorry. And I did eat half of it. So I don't want anything. I'm just letting you know that whatever you guys are doing back there, it ain't working. Food's still cold. And so the manager came and was super great guy, took $8 off of our bill. We didn't ask for it. They just did it. I'm not the kind of guy that rants and raves. It kind of is what it is, especially if I eat most of it. So Teresa's salad was terrific. It was a chicken salad, and it was she enjoyed it. Now, right next door was the Cheesecake Factory, so we did stop in there and get dessert. So we had some wonderful cheesecake. So that made up for everything, and we felt good about the evening. And then again, the next morning, we hit the road and came home. On my father-in-law and the way it's kind of affecting our plans. Again, we were supposed to head out to Central Oregon Wednesday through Sunday, and we get a weird phone call on Saturday, this last Saturday, from my mother-in-law, and she said that now the backstory here is my father-in-law 19 years ago had a stroke, and he doesn't have use of the right side of his body, and he is in assisted living. So, and the guy is an absolute fighter. He's been on hospice twice, and absolutely refused to go. I think him and the man upstairs have a deal because he's just not going. So anyway, we get this. You're right, Foreverland. You are right. So we get this phone call from my mother-in-law, and she says, "Hey, just got a call from assisted living. Dad is." They went into his room, and he's totally non-responsive or unresponsive. Now, to me, that means one thing. Apparently, it means something else. So, anyway, we're like, well, what does that mean? Nothing right now. We'll call you back at 2. 2 o'clock, we get a phone call from my brother-in-law. Says, "Hey, are you guys on the way to the hospital?" Said, "No. Should we be?" "Yeah, you need to get to the hospital right now." So we get in the car. "Hey, James, how you doing?" We get in the car. We race to the hospital, which is about 20 minutes from here. And we call, and they're like, "Hey, you need to hurry up. We got decisions to make." And I'm thinking, this is it. Teresa is crying. We're at the end. We walk into the hospital. They're like, "Yeah, only one visitor, but because of the situation, we're allowing your entire family back." We all go back there. Here's my father-in-law sitting up in the bed, fully aware of what's going on around us, and he's talking to everybody. And I'm like, what is going on? Well, it turns out that, and it's happened before, but he's got bleeding on the brain, and it's creating a lot of pressure. So they said they're going to rush him up to Oregon Health Science University, and they could do brain surgery on him. And you got a 50-50 shot of whether he comes out of it or not, whether it works or not. So 50-50 is better than nothing. So they send him up to OHSU. They get to OHSU. The brain surgeon evaluates him, does all this, and sends him back to assisted living and says, "You're fine. We're just going to keep monitoring. And in 2 weeks, we'll do another CT scan and decide whether we're going to do surgery or not." So it's been an emotional roller coaster. And we're a little bit apprehensive about leaving town this week, just in case something does happen in these next couple of days with my father-in-law. So I think we're going to stick around. I think we're going to stay in town this time, but we're definitely going to go to the next one because by the time we get to the next one, he will either have had the surgery or he'll be completely out of the water again, and we'll be, "Hey, Thin Blue Lane, good to see you." And so we'll just have to figure out where we go from there. But yeah, this entire weekend was just up and down and up and down. So lots of prayers and all of that. But like I said, my father-in-law, he's just a fighter, and I think he's worked out some sort of deal with the guy that's got his hand on all of us. And I obviously whatever he's doing, it's working because he has survived a strong 19 years, kind of up and down. So yeah, if you guys are all inclined, whatever your backgrounds are, it'd be great if you just kind of thought about him a little bit. We're hoping to have him around, and because he's just he's a wonderful person, and he is absolutely a guy that I love dearly. So don't want him going anywhere too soon. All right. Well, that is kind of a downer, but it's also a good story in that he is, continues to work on that.
Hey, stop.
All right. And this is Shelly. I'm packing to leave. Hey, are you heading to Texas, Shelly? So anyway, I just put. Hey, you want to say hey?
Go show
Come
Papa.
here.
Go show Papa. He wants to geo in your TR.
Well, then go.
No.
Hey.
I gave him the wrong keys.
Little man is wanting to play outside. So anyway, I thought I just threw up the
Sorry, Caitlin.
do it again.
I should probably let you go. All right.
There is the link if anybody wants to come in and plug your stuff or say hello or chat. But we had a wonderful trip, and I'll be honest with you. Hold on, we got Disney playing. Everything just went to heck in a handbasket here. But yeah, we had a wonderful trip. We hit Idaho, or we hit the Oregon border, And I looked at Teresa and I said, let's just turn around and go back. Did not want to come back this way. And, just, you ever have those trips where it's just so good that you don't want them to end? That's where we were. And that's the trip that we had. And so anyway, again, if anybody wants to come in, I'll throw that up there. We could shoot the breeze for a little bit. I really only had a little bit of content for tonight. Again, we got the little trooper, so he's a handful, especially on hot days. And so, yeah, Full-Time Dream here is here. I don't remember saying hi to you. Yes, we did. There's a reason our channel's the happy place, because we are truly always looking for that. And our rig model is what is it? It's a Keystone Passport 2890 RLW. I'll put it up here. Passport 2890 RLW. So yeah, that's the rig we have. So it's 33 feet from the hitch to the bumper, essentially 29 feet of usable inside space. And we've got the rear living, and the W is for the Western models. And really the only difference is the layout of the dinette, I believe. I think that's it. I think that's the real only difference between the RL and the RLW. For some reason, Passport, because the RLWs are actually made out here in Oregon and Idaho. And so that's really the only difference in our rig. And give me 1 second. I'll see if I could find a picture of it. Real quick, and I'll share that. Hang in there for 1 sec, folks. I know I got 1,000 pictures of it. Hold on. Yeah, that's not a good picture. Hold on a sec. Trying to get one of a good side shot of it. All right, now let me get back to here. And that's our trailer right there. That is the 2890 RLW. And this was Memorial Day weekend of 2019. So the trailer hasn't really changed. The inside has. But that is our trailer. Oh, I guess I could have. So, yeah, that. Let me try to catch up to some of the chat here. Guys. Hey, Camping Therapy, good to have you with us tonight. Have a good evening.
He said nice flag. Wounded. Thin Blue Lane RV sent you an email. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Forget it.
No. All right. Yeah, nice flags. And now we've got our flags on the new flag stand. So let me see if I got a picture of that. Which I think we do.
In the trailer?
Yeah, the new flag stand. These are not in order. Hold on, folks. I'm looking for. Thought I had some on the Instagram. Oh well, here's a better look at our trailer. I guess I need to go back here and share screen. So that is, this was in Pasco, Washington on our way home. That's kind of just a side view last year. Photos. That's not the picture I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is okay, this one. Go to recents here and see if I can find one of the what are the stands that our flags are on. I know we've shown them. Here it is right here. And let me share that with you. This is the stand that our flags are on now. I made that with some PVC that was laying around in the garage and get a lot of compliments. The only thing that we've added is on the sides. Now we added some solar LED lights. And so they light up. They light up everything there. So that works. And really like the flag stands. It really makes things look cool. I think it's better than those ones that, because the flags always flopped and flopped around, or they fell down, or you'd be in a campground that you couldn't get the little stakes in the ground. So this one works everywhere, whether you're in a parking lot or a grassy field or whatever. And then I drilled holes in the legs so that I could put tent stakes in, and it really works out nice for us. I'm trying to get Teresa to let me get a big flagpole. Hey, I'll bring you in. Paul from the Horse Guy Reviews, the RV Reviews. How you doing, Paul?
That's me. How you doing?
I'm all right. I can't complain.
That's awesome. How's the weather out your way?
Hot.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It is hot out here, but you know what? I'd much rather be hot than cold. That's for sure.
Oh, let me tell you about that. I always joke that the Army had a way of playing tricks on me. I've been in the coldest place that the Army could send you, which is the Arctic Circle, and the hottest place, which was Iraq. So they sent me to both extremes. I'll take Oregon hot any day of the week.
No doubt about that. Tell you,
I could always take clothes off most, to the chagrin of a lot of people. But sometimes I don't feel like I could get enough on.
no doubt about it. But that's the whole thing. I love the heat. Much rather to have the heat, because you know what? I can go in air conditioning. I can sit in the shade. It's much better. Gives me the ability to do both. If it's cold, yeah, I can go sit in the heat, but then I don't want to be outside.
Right, right. Yeah, we just came back from Moab, and it was about 105 down there, but a totally different heat. It's dry, which is kind of cliche, right? Oh, it's a dry heat.
Right.
Yeah, there's a difference between a dry cold and a wet cold too. But it didn't bother me at all. I enjoyed it. Teresa didn't really like the heat too much, but you can always go from air conditioning to air conditioning. The air conditioning truck to the air conditioned restaurant to the air conditioned house to So
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt.
it never hurts. So how are you doing?
I'll tell you what, it's finally starting to catch up with things. Things are finally starting to slow down a little bit. We were just booming. I mean, didn't have time. We didn't even have a chance to eat. Things were so busy at work. So it seems to be slowing down a little bit, which is good. Give us a chance to catch up on things. Because I tell you, from a inventory standpoint, it's been tough for the last month and a half, 2 months. But so now what you're having is supplies. I don't know
Right.
if anybody's going out trying to get any camping supplies. You go into some of these places and, they're limited.
Yeah, I noticed that even the big box, camping world, you go in there and they're pretty much picked through. We were looking at some new leveling blocks and we ended up finding them, but yeah, it was a couple trips to find the extended ones, the ones that are bigger than the one by ones.
Right.
But yeah, we ended up finding them, and yeah, I've been following you, taking the pictures of all the new folks driving off with their rigs. I'm like, man, that's great for the industry. It's good for people, and I know it's capitalizing on the situation, which is good because people just want to get out. We saw that so much down in Moab on our little 4x4 excursion. We were asking how business is, and he said we can't keep the things. We can't keep fueling them fast enough,
Right.
as fast as they're renting them out there. And we took a guided trip, which I highly recommend because you come back without dying.
Right.
But I tell you, some of the places that we were riding, I was had there not been a guide there, I probably would have been that guy that rolled over and you found me as a fossil sometime.
What were you riding?
We were riding in those the Razors, the side by sides,
Okay.
little 2-seaters.
Mhm.
But we were climbing some inclines that were straight up, like this. And I thought the guide told us, don't stop. You need all that momentum, because I guess if you stop, it'll start bouncing, and that's when you start rolling and maybe rolling back over on yourself, and then you have no control. So I did what I was told. I'm a good listener, and we did them. Going downhill like this created the most pucker factor for me, because literally you're looking straight down. And we got some good GoPro video on it. That do it this way, and I don't have to fight the camera. But it'll be coming out in some videos in the next 2 weeks or so. Some of the terrain that we were on, I didn't think that they took people on tours, but I mean, apparently it's safe enough. So we had a blast. And then that afternoon, we went out to Arches and just had a wonderful time out in Arches. We'd never been out there before, and it was amazing. And it cooled down a little bit because a storm was coming in, and we actually had some thunder and lightning, and you could just feel the temperature drop. It went from like 103 to 89, and then it dropped into the 60s on our way out of the park. It was actually frigid, and then by the time we got back in Moab, it was in the low 90s, which is really really doable. It was great.
So you find it hard? Were you finding it hard? You hear any stories about people finding it hard to get camping spots?
No. There was more trouble with the rental houses, and we were actually in a rental house this time, and we tried to actually stay an extra day, but the rentals everything was booked. Now the rental that we stayed at was right next to the KOA,
Okay.
and they still had some availability there.
It
Now, I'll tell
amazes
you that that's the biggest KOA I've ever seen.
It
is
amazes
massive.
me that that's the case, though. You know, we have all these new people. I mean, sales, rentals, everything's going bananas. Yet there's still availability at campgrounds.
Right.
You know, I had a customer purchase from me, and they were able to book a site a week out for a weekend. That's amazing.
Yeah, don't try that in Oregon. Everything in Oregon is full.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And with the state parks, because of COVID, it's usually you have to book in a 9-month window. Now it's a 1-month window.
Wow.
And so it's almost impossible to get unless you already had reservations that they didn't cancel for you. It's almost impossible to get a campsite. We just tried to get a campsite for last weekend. Nothing.
Oh, good, huh?
Nothing. We couldn't find anything. So.
Well, good luck to you there. I know I just camped this last weekend, going camping this weekend as well. And then I just booked for next month. I've got a few more trips I got to book for the rest of the year here. But I'm going to be coming out with a video. I don't know if anybody's had any issues with their LP lines. Have you ever had an issue with the LP line leaking on you?
I have never. The only gas issue I've ever had was I had a regulator go bad, and I had to replace that.
So I just, this is a brand new camper, and I was getting ready to do a video on how the automatic switchover works, and I noticed I had an empty bottle. Turns out one of the hoses is bad. So I'm going to go ahead and swap those hoses out to a metal type hose, flexible metal. I don't know what they call it, braided type metal type hose.
Yeah.
And you have less issue than the rubber ones. So I do that, so I don't have an issue.
I've been looking at my hoses. We've had our rig for 4 years now. So I've been looking at the hoses, and they're never exposed. They're always under the cover.
Right.
But they're rubber hoses, and rubber hoses, have fair wear and tear.
Well, that's what surprised me. That the camper's less than a year old, and the damn, it's leaking right at the fitting. I say the fitting where the brass is clamping on the hose.
Yeah.
And that's where it's leaking, and that's where they typically fail anyway. So
right.
I thought it'd be a better idea just to upgrade to something you have less chance of that happening.
Yeah. Well, and as luck would have it, our regulator went bad, and we were out on a week-long trip. The good news was we were near a town, and we ended up getting a regulator at a Napa Auto Parts that was an RV style regulator with the switch. Mm-hmm. And it took 10 minutes to swap it out, and everything was fine. I just saw a question from RV MIA. We did not go to the Blue Pig. We did see the Blue Pig. We spent a little bit more time than we probably should have at the brewery. So we ate there, good food. And then another place that was just outside of town. It was a barbecue place. I can't think of the name of it, but it was good food there too. I wish we could have hooked up there. And then the other thing was, so far as reservations, the state canceled everything up to June. So if you had any reservations after June, you still have them. So we actually have a reservation for this Wednesday through Sunday. And then we have another reservation in a week and a half down by Crater Lake. And so we're going to keep that. Not sure about this Wednesday things going on, but yeah, we're trying to get out as much as we can and just, find those windows. I'm just checking every day. I'll jump on and see any availability and try to scoop sites up because, we want to get out, especially not knowing what's going to happen here in Oregon for the near future.
Right.
They're starting to shut things down again. And luckily, the private campgrounds have always kind of stayed open. But with the state, you never know. Oregon is really quick to pull the plug on things. So
Sure.
And so
It
is
is.
Washington, for that matter.
Well, yeah, and that amazes me that they're closing, that they've closed down state and national parks. Before they came up with the terminology social distancing. I mean, that's what people have been camping for decades. That's what they've been doing. They just didn't know it was called that.
Yeah, by definition, it is social distancing. Camping is, but I don't know. I think they paint in broad strokes, and I, they're willing to throw everything out with the good, the bad, and everything else. So braided line is what Time for Exploring is saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think I'm going to look into that too. That's a great idea.
So I'll do a video to kind of show people what I'm doing with that. But you live and learn, right?
Yeah, and that's the fun part of RVing, because 9 times out of 10 it's not catastrophic, and so
Right.
you can tinker without a whole lot of consequences.
Well, the funny thing is about that is, though, the times that you have the issues when you're out camping, whether you have a blown tire or whatever, you have a problem at the campground, whatever it is, those are times that you remember for the rest of your life. You forget about some of the good stuff, but
Right.
darn if you will not forget about having a bad time.
Yeah. No, I now that you say that, and it's also the part of RVing that brings a lot of RVers together. When we replaced the regulator out there at the campground, it was like, all your neighbors want to come by and help. There's only room for one wrench on that thing, but everybody, well, number one, everybody's got an idea,
Mhm.
and then there's the guy that he's got his squirt bottle with the soapy water to test it, and all that. And yeah, and it always ends up, with a ice cold beverage, and then everybody talking about success. We fixed it. So
That's it.
really cool.
I'll tell you, that's the thing. That's a big thing about campers. I had a customer of mine that picked up last Thursday, and then they went up to the campground. By the time they were camping the same campground I was camping at, by the time I get over there, they had two different neighbors of theirs help them. One helped them disconnect from their fifth wheel because they've never had a camper before. The other one came over and lent them sewer hoses because they didn't have enough, because they couldn't get enough because of things on back order,
Right.
and help them and let them use the sewer hoses. And he got them all set up. So it's amazing how well people want to help you. Now, of course, every now and again you run into the ones that, they just want to sit back, kick back and watch you struggle. But for the most part, other campers are very helpful.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're absolutely right. And that to me is a lot of the fun of it, and we always carry a little bit of extra this and that. And you see that when we were out camping one time, and I only got a few seconds left. I think who's coming in next is Jocelyn, Christina.
I'm going to go ahead and jump off, let you get somebody else in here, but I appreciate you invite me on, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful evening, and we'll have a wonderful week.
Yeah, and I'm just going to wrap up with this story because I literally have 30 seconds left, and then somebody's in after me. We're out there and we're walking our dogs, and we see this young couple, and they're struggling with exactly that, the sewer stuff. Had no idea what they were doing. I'm like, I'll be right back. I go back and I grabbed a bunch of stuff, got them hooked up for the weekend, and they did good. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and call it. Hey, thanks, Paul. I appreciate you
Take
coming
care
in.
now. Have a great evening. Bye now.
All right. Hey, folks, that's going to do it for us. It's been an hour. Head on over to whoever's next. And thanks for coming with us this Monday night. Hopefully, you guys all have a great week. Watch for that video coming out on Sunday about Canyonlands. And we will see you live next Monday. See ya.